Here we are for another one. We can traverse that street in Montreal, Hawk Island on these toes. And yes, I can pass. I still turn my head left and right. Got the backpack. Got the backpack. Oh, 44 pounds because I got those gloves which my anonymous friend credited. See that backpack? Got the big backpack on. So going to the mountain, my second home, Mount Royal, and they have those boxing gloves, some other things, and I got myself some halva. I got a little bit of the quash. I forgot to drop, there's no garbage here. I forgot to drop something at the garbage. That's okay. I guess I'm gonna drop it further down, so that's gonna be okay with that. So I can drop it further down as long as I don't forget to drop the garbage, as you know. Grateful, thankful. Paid my rent, paid my electricity bill, got food and coffee, and gonna put those gloves on. Let's rock and roll. Dragon versus Storm special. North Americans unite overtime every time. It is Friday before the Sabbath, and another raw, real revolutionary from this ass. We got an Asperger's, also known as fait, artist, athlete, philosopher, geopolitical, theoretical analyst, and theorist, auctioning these gloves, the hoodie, the hat. For $1 million, gonna give half that 50% to my anonymous friend. If I make $1 million, gonna give that 50% half. On these toes, on the march towards the mountain. Grateful, thankful, my rent's paid my rent, paid my electricity bill, got food and coffee. And there's no excuses, you know. It was hard to get in there a little bit, you know. I left late because I cleaned my room, office, and temple, and did what I do 24/7, geopolitical, theoretical analysis, and rock and roll with that. So checked my emails, did some cleaning, did some work, ate, and did some independent work at home, geopolitical work, artistic work, rock and roll style, and did some stretching, and of course analyzed the geopolitical events, the news, revised my theories and protocols and initiatives, and had a late start, but it was hard to get into it. But you know, there's no excuses. I said this is my medicine and therapy of choice, and once I get into it, you know, sports and fitness is one of my special, concentrated, intense, focused interests, and that's what is also known as obsessive interest for people like myself who are neurodivergent, who have Asperger's, being an Aspie. And it's geopolitics, and I study the revision of geopolitical theoretical analysis 24/7. Geopolitics, parallel to rock and roll. That's my holy trinity of special, focused, intense interest. And when I'm involved in working those three areas, I'm super intense, super focused, and can lose actually track of time, you know. For many years, you know, I've been diagnosed and been told, you know, you have Asperger's, you're an Aspie, you have HFA, high functioning autism, and, you know, didn't want to accept it until about 44 months ago during COVID, which I survived. And in February, March, gonna mark 5 years since I survived COVID. It was like deathless lenten disease. Sounds like a hardcore death metal rock and roll song, but that's what it felt like as I'm marching now towards the mountain, you know. Always grateful, thankful, but really I thought I was gonna die right in my room, office, and temple there, in the lair of the dragon, small office room, office, and temple, which I appreciate and I'm grateful to have. You know, gratitude is a great component for mental health, and although I'm financially stressed, got trillions of kisses, credited from the forgotten goddess, GODDSS. I credit my survival, as some people do, to the God. I'm going to credit mine to the goddess. I'm going to credit mine to the forgotten goddess, the forgotten GODDSS goddess, who gifted yours truly trillions of kisses, to lay the foundations for the first kingdom empire. Pledge your allegiance, friends with benefits only. Hope you have an understanding. If you want kisses, I got by the trillions of kisses with trillions of kisses. First kingdom empire to be found, lay the foundations with trillions of kisses, parallel trillions of marching steps. And so lots of rock and roll and push-ups, hugs, and all services on the table for that. Dragon Army, pledge your allegiance to our family. Support the dream, the North American Collectif, Public-Private Partnership, the North American Union, the Democratic Republic. My brothers and sisters, the King is absent. Fellow brothers and sisters of Canada, Quebec, the King is absent. It's been me and you and us here. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean, you know. Whenever I say coast to coast, ocean to ocean, I always get a flashback of one major event in my life, which completely changed my life, 2017, when I crossed Canada back in 2017, that's when I crossed Canada, and of course that's when I got crossed on the Canada on the go. So before that I was of course depressed and suicidal, and of course gotten out of that depression, got out of that depression by crossing Canada coast to coast. And that event, made me of course come out of being depressed and suicidal when I crossed Canada coast to coast. That was a major event which completely turned my life around. Prior to that event I was depressed, I was suicidal, and crossing Canada coast to coast made me have a revelation and a wake up with illumination, and I established a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians, Quebecers, Canadians, North Americans, our family. And I'm a mystic. I believe in reincarnations, and I was born in the United States, USA 3 times, post 76, twice was born as a man, both times in the same US Army, served in the same US Army, 156 years apart, 2 different wars which were 156 years apart. Once was born as a woman, get that 50-50 now. Androgynous, pansexual, rainbow, dragon, played that black and white and rainbow for the truckers, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the grocery store clerks, those who change some diapers in the daycares today, firefighters, LOV, the truckers, the warehouse, plumbers, electricians, IT workers, all those truckers on the roads, railway conductors, grocery store clerks, stacking up those shelves, doing some service, those in the fast food industry, flipping some hamburgers, some cheeseburgers now across this great Canada, Quebec, North America. It's Quebec, Canada, North American, Canadian, Quebec, or North American. We can get rid of the border, unite. But of course we have to do better for many people, and we got to mass invest in the rebuilding of the North American infrastructure and the North American inner cities, aka the North American ghettos. We got to rebuild the North American ghettos. We have to rebuild the North American ghettos, the inner city, the highways, the roads, and get that defense, play that defense, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, security service and defense, security service and defense, security service and defense, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Just like that hardball ball, aka the blackout ball. Rent's paid, electricity bills paid, got food and coffee, encouraging all to work out, train, exercise, and want to get that LOV. I played black and white or rainbow, being androgynous, pansexual, got free, plenty of love. I'm not looking specifically for whatever the case may be, but friends with benefits only. I wish I could afford a massage therapy session. A massage would be so good, but you know what? Tomorrow when I'm going to rest after a full intense week of mental and physical work, independent geopolitical theoretical work, and independent athletic, independent fitness work, and independent artistic work. And of course I'm going to take a bath, so I'm grateful that I will be able to take a bath. I got to turn my head left or right here before I cross the street. So turn your heads left or right 3 times, recommended, because you never know. The citizen driver might press the accelerator, the brakes might malfunction, so those are possibilities which can occur. And now I'm in the Publik, auctioning of course everything that I'm wearing. I'm gonna give 50% to my anonymous friend who wasn't my friend because the money dropped down. Give yourself give some push-ups for the dragon, and with consent and hygiene. Hug like you never hugged before is the main message. Pledge your allegiance, thou art family. Pledge your allegiance, thou art family. Pledge your allegiance, thou art family. Pledge your allegiance thou art family. We're gonna get that coast to coast, ocean to ocean, admire, and create the 2 complementary covenant and cooperative institutions, public-private partnership based, my democratic republic, and let's get together foundations for the North American Collective Workers Party, 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 the North American Collective Workers Party. Turn my head left and right, because you never know, brakes can malfunction, citizen driver can press the accelerator. I'm in big metropolis, passing by I'm kilometers and miles away from my underground lair now already. I'm more than 10 kilometers away from my place, from Montreal Island, where I reside. Is a big, huge metropolis of 2.5 million people, second most populated city. Montreal is aka Hawk, H-A-W-K, Hawk Island, Montreal. Quebec, Canada, 7th or 8th top most populated in North American complex in North America, along with New York, Mexico, LA, LOV, send some LOV. To the firefighters, and please millionaires. Mass finance the firefighters there who fight, especially in California wildfires. Finance them some good spas, some good massages, and all the firefighters and the nurses and all the workers in the public. Please finance them a good massage therapy session, because they deserve it and earn more than yours truly. Millionaires, Wall Street, and give the public workers. Please, NFL, National Football League, NHL, National Hockey League, NBA, National Basketball Association, MLB. Please mass finance the firefighters, the nurses, and the public workers to pick up the garbage, the recycling, the compost in my neighborhood, which is a big, more than 100,000 people just in my neighborhood, Borough, Montreal. Montreal Island proper has 2.5 million people, like a small country. But of course, just in my neighborhood, you get that 3 services, so public workers picking up the garbage, and those machines with some brains and some muscle, they're also athletes. So they also got to be, of course, on the athletics, and give them some free tickets, NFL, National Football League, NHL, National Hockey League, NBA, National Basketball Association, MLB, and please reduce the cost of the tickets by 44.9% is my estimated calculation that the cost need to be reduced in order, of course, to be sufficient enough for the majority of citizens to afford it. And many, some say, I saw a lot of videos in the past exploring some videos that say all ALL are broke, but not all are broke. I'm myself financially struggling, although open for business, but kisses I got by the trillions, and friends with benefits only, do not will, I do not will. WILL, to waste nobody's time, Purpose and pleasure, the body is a holy temple for pleasure and purpose. Encourage you all to invest in the body. Let's mass finance the fitness and physical education and fitness, and increase all in acts of goodness and kindness. And of course, throughout the North American complex, we got to get that XYZ, and also we got to meditate. It's about the privilege of civilization. Got to give a shout out to Hydro-Quebec. Work as a Hydro-Quebec, work as a Hydro-Quebec, work as a Hydro-Quebec. That's why we got those lights, and we need to build more dams, and I'm grateful I have, of course, electricity in my work tool. As my work tool, I work with this smartphone. I wish I knew more information, knowledge, and wisdom about 3G, 4G, 5Gs, and internet, and computers, and stuff like that. I know my geopolitics, and I know some math, especially about calculation, about some fractions and some percentages or stuff like that. I know, but so many other things I don't know. I don't know so many other things, but I do know that somebody's hugging, somebody's gonna make that LOV with guns tonight. Otherwise, what are we fighting to save for? And tough times the past years, and a lot of people are financially struggling, and we can do better. It takes practical action, some concrete initiatives. I believe my Trinity of theories, to be part of the solution to the many ongoing problems which we are facing. And again, I go back to my work as an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, that back in 2019 in October, November, I had predicted an international conflagration. You heard that correct. I have proof of work back in 2019. In October, November, I have predicted an international conflagration. Back in October, November, I had predicted an international conflagration based on several layers of information, and whatever the case may be, several layers, in-depth analysis, in-depth analytics, and analysis of geopolitics. That's my kingdom, my realm. It's my, look at the beautiful Montreal. Those are the lights. That's south of the island. You can see the beauty, and all this electricity comes from clean, zero pollution energy from the Hydro-Quebec dams. And you see that's Montreal metropolis. Here I'm on Westmount, and again an interjection that our electricity from Hydro-Quebec goes to 5 or 6 states, all the way to Manhattan Island. 1/20th, 1/5 goes all the way to Manhattan Island. 1/20th, 1/5, 1/20th, 1/5 goes all the way to Manhattan Island. So 20%, 1/5 goes all the way to Manhattan Island. That is the electricity from Hydro-Quebec. So we got to keep that in mind. And here we got the youth and parents sliding a little bit of that glide, because you got the snow, and here it's a perfect place to glide if you want to come here. It's Westmount, one of the 3 peaks of the mountain. So I'm on the mountain now, because the mountain has 3 peaks. But I'm going to the whole place is my home island, this life and in another life. But I'm going to exactly the Belvedere Conjurac, was my second home. But this is also part of the mountain complex known as Mount Royal, which is right between the east and the west on the island, right at the center between the east and the west, but slightly south. So not exactly in the center between the north and the south. It's south of the island, but in the middle, in between the east and the west. Quite fascinating how the 3-peak mountain is right at the heart, but south between the east and the west, exactly kind of in the middle, in the center between the east and the west, splitting it kind of in two, but south of the island. So that's what you see, that those lights are there, the metropolis south, because now I'm on the mountain. So this mountain can be seen from miles and miles, hundreds of kilometers afar off. So this mountain can be seen from afar off. So this mountain can be seen afar off. And especially Belvedere Conjurac, where we're heading. And again, encouraging all to work out, train, exercise. And I hear some joy. Joy is important, especially through gratitude. And I got some sweets. I actually was able to budget and buy myself a chocolate bar. So I got a chocolate bar. It's a double chocolate bar because it's like 220 grams. So it's more than 100 grams. It's more than the regular 80 grams, 95 grams, and 100 grams. So it's kind of like a double one. It was reduced. So I said, I'm going to try it out. I don't think I ever had that special one. It's quite interesting, but nonetheless, you know that I love sweets. So I love sweets and wafers. And now we're going to switch a little. For me, I'm going to check the road and grateful, thankful for my rent paid, electricity bills paid, rock and roll always. I might usually enter rock and roll trances when I get on top of the mountain. I'm back and enter rock and roll trances even when some more socially awkward moments, which as someone who has HFA, high functioning autism, it's more difficult. High functioning autism is more difficult. High functioning Asperger's, HFA, high functioning autism, aka Asperger's. It's not a mental illness. It's a neurological mental divergent condition, which I live with, and I've accepted my condition about 44 months ago, plus more than that, during COVID, and just have to manage the characteristics because there's no medication for Asperger's, in the sense that unless you're going through depression because of it or suicidal because of it, and due to increased loneliness, isolation, and being often misunderstood and mislabeled, and of course losing opportunity, jobs, and employment opportunities and jobs. There's a big problem in the people with Asperger's and who have that, although we can be very good at some other things. And myself in geopolitics, it's my special concentrated interest, also known as obsessive interest, and is geopolitics. 24/7 geopolitics, 24/7 geopolitics, 24/7 geopolitics, 24/7 geopolitical studies, analysis thereof of the geopolitical events. And that's what I do on the basis. And again, going back to my work of 2019, in October, November, I had concluded that humanity is again directed towards an international conflagration, aka World War III. I got proof, I got the video online, and in consequence, concordantly, I had created a workout training program system to go hand in hand with such an event. My workout, the General Integrated Total Body Training System, which I created back in 2019, and of which I've performed more than 372 sessions myself, and of which I've performed more than 372 sessions myself, had made it in the cost. Had made it, of course, that I turned my surname into an O, although gotta get some money to change the name officially, but for me it's changed, and officially until, of course, gotta change that name officially. Let's get that dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom. North American Democratic Republic, North Americans unite. North Americans unite. Here we made the great linguistic compromise of the French language, and again back in 2019 I predicted what's happening now across the world, and it's a potential for more escalation. It's predicted a rearmament, predicted a World War III type of environment, scenario, situation, an international conflagration, aka a World War III back in 2019. My main analysis, main premise, main common denominator was due to the fact that many nation states, countries, geopolitical regions did not fully resolve their 20th century conflicts, that these unresolved conflicts from the 20th century, they're gonna re-emerge, restart in the 21st century. And for the major part, that's what's happening. Russia-Ukraine dates from the end of the Cold War period. The Russia-Ukraine war crisis, biggest war, biggest conflict in Europe since the Second World War, in more than 70 years. Now, I'm not on the ground, so I can't really tell. I'm not really on the ground, right? So I can only tell and discern from the reports, but I'm not really fully on the ground. I've been on the ground here on the island, and pretty much the island is fundamentally what I know in terms of being on the field. In terms of being on the field, right? Pretty much all I know. And my theories, protocols, and initiatives are fundamentally for Quebec, Canada, North America, and further extension to what I call the NATO complex. NATO, basically the NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization member countries. As much as I am and have been blah blah blah, advocated for world peace, paradoxically, and seems that it's been happening. I've also predicted an international conflagration, aka World War III, back in October, November 2019. So their conflicts was not resolved fully, and that's why those conflicts have re-emerged now in the 21st century. Decades later, they re-emerged. That's what's happening in Israel and Palestine, Israel, Hamas, right? Supposedly there's a ceasefire to be taken into effect soon, Sunday, as President Trump is getting inaugurated Monday. Joe Biden still got 3 days. Joe Biden still has 3 days of president. Joe Biden still has 3 days. My brother Scorpio still has 3 days. And another potential unresolved conflict from the 20th century, another unresolved potential conflict from the 20th century, is of course the conflict in China, Taiwan, China. Taiwan known as the ROC, Republic of China. So China, Taiwan, those are conflicts which were not fully resolved. See how it goes down slope, the mountain. So those conflicts were not fully resolved, Were not fully resolved, So that's what it is with that. Those conflicts were not fully resolved. And it's a possibility that they're gonna restart. I mean, the Taiwan, China is the next conflict on the horizon. It's possible as I go back tonight, tomorrow, before Trump gets officially sworn in, that China invades Taiwan. The ROC, Republic of China, gets invaded by the PRC, People's Republic of China, which was founded by Mao Zedong in October 1949. So those are conflicts which date from the 20th century, right? Just like Israel and the Middle East. As much as I know the ideologies and the back and forth, the pronouncements, fundamentally my initiatives, protocols, and my reality is that I've been in a World War III mode since 2019, October, November. And fundamentally my initiatives, protocols are for North America, for the North American Collective, NORAD based. The Dragon Army Initiative, it's a North American PPP, Public-Private Partnership Call to All initiative, just like the NHL, but with different features, not just athletic but fitness is a component, right? Because in the military you gotta get fit, play that defense, you gotta get fit. And I got my theory, the total mobile defense theory, total mobile defense theory, total mobile defense theory, or the total mobile defense theory system. The T, total, D, defense, or the TM, total mobile TM, D, defense, total mobile defense theory, TM, DTS. Could be systematic, but if not, just the total mobile defense TMD for short, the TMDT, because it's a theory, Total Mobile Defense Theory, TMDT, or the TMDTS, Total Mobile Defense Theory System, right? Because it's a system, a theory, which has to be applied in the 21st century. So that I'm not going to go into too much because it's part of national security, and in my past collaborations with CSIS, and other components, of course, of the CSIS, Canadian Security Intelligence Service, and other national security forces, and in past, which I'm not going to go into now, several matters in about 7-8 years ago, and something like that. But with my own, as a citizen and philosopher, artist, athlete, independent, geopolitical, theoretical, honest, theorist, and mystic, rainbow dragon, rock and roll. Always got to give a bit some more loving to the firefighters of North America now. Truckers on the road, carrying bacon, carrying cheese, some romaine lettuce, some eggs, some milk, some cream cheese, some potatoes, some lettuce, some shrimp, some food items, some underwear. I need to buy some underwear myself. Some socks. I need to buy some socks myself. I got $11 for socks, and $11 for a budget for 2025. Well, for winter 2025, that is. So I got $11. I'll see how many. I guess I could get 3 pairs, maybe for $4.99, and a few pairs of socks. So 3 pairs if I get, plus what I have, the old and the new. Keep a little bit out of old school. Auctioning my underwear that I'm wearing now. For this long march. It's already been like 3 hours that I'm on the march. So blah 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 blah. Auctioning them for $1 million. Gonna give 50% half to my anonymous friend. Right now I'm joyous, but I'm just financially stressed. And I had many jobs, many employments I loved, especially during COVID, with the senior citizens and in steel and in warehouses, and just with Asperger's. There's a lot of misunderstandings, and there's a lot of difficulty for people Aspies like myself, but not when we're involved in our work, whatever the work that we do, where it revolves around our special interests. And paradoxically, my special interest, geopolitics, is my kingdom, my realm, my domain. And if I can make a summary to our leaders now, Quebec Prime Minister, my uncle Legault, and my cousin Trudeau, and all, and to my brothers and sisters in the USA, because I was not just because I was born there in previous incarnations, although I direct all to read George Patton's poem Through a Glass Darkly, whereas he lays out his belief in reincarnations. And like myself, although I was born a woman, I know that George Patton only mentions him being born a man, a male, but he didn't mention that once in the past life, 2,600 years ago or so, George Patton was my wife, so that's another story. Besides that, we can get married, Quebecers, Canadians, North America. We made the great linguistic compromise here in the great true north, strong and free. Our brothers and sisters, the land of the free, home of the brave. We both got free, FRE, but we got to add some ingredient to that. It's only strength and freedom and bravery is not enough for our civilizational complex, for our relations to each other. We got to have some LOVE. We got to have some love and understanding, If we don't have that, we got to have an esprit de corps. I don't want nothing to do with mercenaries. I don't want nothing to do with mercenaries. No need to spy on me. Secret services of Russia. Secret services of China. Play that androgynous pansexual. Play that black, white, and rainbow. Love my BDSM switch. I love to get whipped and a little bit degraded, let's say. A little bit degraded. Rock and roll, a little bit degraded with consent hygiene, of course. Consent hygiene between consenting adults. I'm also a homosexual. I'm also a homosexual. Being pansexual, it's including being a homosexual, Pansexual. Loves in BDSM switch, play that black, white, and rainbow, and if we are to fight and ensure freedom. Ensure freedom. Gotta be defined, gotta be ensured, It's It's a new thing under the sun, Mr. Solomon, you know, King Solomon, you know, it's a new thing under the sun, King Solomon, you know, it's a new thing, freedom. Freedom is new under the sun. Consent, hygiene also of our civilization through North Strong and Free. We gotta add that love, you know, understanding, then some giving people some redemption, some second chances. I wish I would have had 44 billion. 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 I would have wished I wish I would have had 44 billion. I would have taken 10%. I would have taken 10%. I would have given 10% of that 44 billion. That would have been the equivalent of 4.4 billion. I would have distributed 50,000 to men, women, black, white, homeless, veterans. I would have whispered, I said, this is your second chance, you know. This is your second chance. This is my redemption. This is your second chance, you know. This is my redemption. This is your second chance. This is my redemption. That's what it is with that, and that's what it is with that. So that's what it is, and that's all we gotta get doing. And we gotta pledge all allegiance, and I would have done that right after Trump got elected on the 6th. On the 6th, you know. Turn my head left or right before I cross the street. So on the 6th of November, I would have went, of course, to distribute money across the North American complex, across North America, because 10% of 44 billion would have been, of course, 10% of 44 billion would have been 4.4 billion. So that's a billion that has 9 zeros. A billion is 1,000 million. A billion is 1,000 million. A billion is 1,000 million. So I would have got 10%. That would have been 4.4 billion. 4.4 billion, you know, so 4.4 billion. That's 4,400 million equivalent. So 50,000 to many, I would have given second chances. I would have said to them, this is your second chance. This is your redemption. Rent a hotel, motel, or a whole year apartment, or whatever the case may be with this 50,000. You can start anew. So calling on the billionaires, millionaires to mass finance charity and the reconstruction of the North American urban cities, the ghettos of North America. So cut a part of my finger, put it on it. Cut my little piece of my finger, put it on it. Let's rebuild the ghettos of North America together, black, white, and no family here. And with joy to others. And cut a piece of my finger to testament to will to rebuild that, and to put the North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act, you know. We need to get that North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act. We need to get that North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act. We need to get the North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act. My brothers and sisters, you know, losing the liberty and freedom. Freedom is something new, so precious. Liberty, so dangerous, you know. So freedom is dangerous, you know. Of course, freedom got to be secured and insured. It's got to be insured. You know, it's to be armed and carry weapons and armed. Also, you got to go. I say new protocols for the Canadian Armed Forces, United States Armed Forces, NORAD, NATO security forces. You know, gotta go change some diapers in the daycares. That should be a new protocol. I knew what gotta do, you know. That's who you're fighting to defend for. They're innocent. The children are innocent. You know, see what's happening overseas. It's geopolitical events, which I predicted, and we gotta get that, of course. That dedication, you know. That's what it is, you know. So that's what it is, and you know, I'm financially stressed. You know, I deal with my own trauma. I got retrograde amnesia. You know, I got RA and blackouts of memory. You know, blackouts of memory. I remember mostly the past 7, 8, 9 max years or so. I remember moving from a moldy place, being attacked by surprise. I don't even know when, but years ago, before I moved, I moved. I was depressed, suicidal, across Canada, coast to coast, and I started working out, training, and exercising. And I've been doing what I love ever since. And since my neurodivergent mental psychic condition of Asperger's, high functioning autism, makes me predisposed to those special interests. It's pretty much with intensity for hours and hours and hours on the daily. I can just work non-stop and do geopolitical analysis, geopolitical revision, and do analysis and geopolitical revision, and rock and roll for hours. I can always rock and roll for the cooks, for the butchers, train conductors. On the train, you know, they gotta clean. For the cleaning workers, that's a deal. That's a deal for the meal. It ain't all about Wall Street. And I'm not totally selfless, you know, I lust. I have sexual feelings, you know, and I'm not looking, I'm just friends with benefits only. Don't want to waste anybody's time, you know. Don't want to waste anybody's time. Don't want to waste anybody's time. Friends with benefits only. Pledge your allegiance, and Dollar Family across Canada 2017. And that event made me come out of being depressed and suicidal. And I established a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians. You know, I put many things about myself online because, you know, just no need to spy on me. Secret services of China, stay over there, don't cross the Atlantic. Correction, the Pacific to the west. On the west coast is the Pacific, and the Atlantic on the east. No need to cross it. The secret services of Russia to spy on Rainbow Dragon on the island here. This is my second home right here. I'm just gonna drop something in the trash, and we're gonna go bounce it on the up 26 seconds, and just gonna drop and go. There we go. Now I can go top the mountain and gonna discuss the DRT theory. And that's how we're gonna go with that, you know. So that's what we're gonna go doing with the XYZ, you know. So that's what we're gonna go doing for the 1, for the 2, for the 3, and I got plenty of seconds to just cross in time. And that's what it is with that. And here we are on the dew. On the mountain, up we go. Let's go. Oh, anybody wants to that I go up and down, 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 up and down. These stairs 300 times up and down, you know. I can go up and down 300 times. 300 times, you know. Go up and down. Special Dragon versus Trump edition have begun challenging Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border ever since Donald Trump imposed tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel in 2018, 10%. That's when he imposed tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel, 10% on aluminum and steel from Canada in 2018. That's when really I got into politics. Before that time I was more on the sidelines. I was just coming out of my depression, my being suicidal, my being depressed, being suicidal, and being depressed, being suicidal, and I was coming out of it. Came out of being depressed, came out of being suicidal 2017, right after I crossed Canada coast to coast. In August went to BC, British Columbia, Vancouver, and in September went to Halifax, Nova Scotia. In Halifax, Nova Scotia. So that is what it is with that, and that's what we gotta get doing. That's what we gotta get doing, and that's why we are here. There's a freedom here when it comes. Yeah. But a certain freedom with a compromise, an insured freedom, but it's because, and since and due to the fact that I acknowledge the forest and Mother Nature and the mountain, is also my being a piece of dust and how tiny I am compared to these trees, and of course the sun, my King the Pope, and the trillions of stars, the moon, and all nature in nature. You know, here it's kind of, it's where all the, like the illusions disappear, where the illusions disappear, where the illusions disappear, you know. And you come here and we try to spend, maybe soon I'll spend the night atop, you know, whatever the case. In past lives I camped for for a long time. I lived on the mountain in a hut, in even before 1535. I was born before 1535, before Europeans arrived. And I was born on the island a few times before the Europeans arrived, and I lived around on the island. And after, as a Quebecer who met Louis Cyr, I met Louis Cyr in a past life, and sometimes was a Quebecer woman. And you got big hard rocks, and this is Mount Royal. You can see the city. The lights getting smaller because we are up, so that you can see how far off now. All those lights are very far away, because I see the river. I don't know how visible it is in the camera, but I see the river. And I see the river actually a little bit slightly, because it's a big river. Montreal, Hawk Island, HAWK, Hawk. We got hawks here in Mount Royal, on Mount Royal, and in Montreal metropolis, 2.5 million people. So we're surrounded. We're actually an island, a big island, surrounded by a big river, St. Lawrence. I call it Snake River, or the North American Nile River. And of course, this mountain where I am now, going all the way to the top, can be seen from afar off. And it's a Friday before the, it's a special Friday before the Sabbath. Before the Sabbath. I'm well dressed. Actually, I think I'm even a bit overdressed. Slightly. I got maybe I don't think I'm gonna take off. I was gonna take off maybe at the top when I come back, because I got hot. Maybe just take the hoodie off for a bit and keep the rest, because you never know. Maybe because I'm in the movement, and I got a shirt, and I got the hoodie, then I got the big jacket and a smaller jacket, and another little red jacket that's kind of for spring, kind of summer evenings type of jacket. Red jacket, which I bought secondhand about 7 years ago, auctioning it for $1 million. So here when I come, it's kind of a joy, a freedom, but that freedom is in relation and in harmony and in accepting the domain, you know, of Mother Nature in many ways, of the mountain, in a harmonious way. You know, not that I have ownership, or that it's my property, but I own it, although I consider it to be my second home. Second home is not just mine, right? It's yours, it's ours. It does not belong solely and only to me as a citizen of Quebec, Canada. It is joint, it is public. So here when I come to Mount Royal, before the Sabbath begins, you can see the other peak of the mountain there. See that Soutremont? We are Mount Royal proper, and on the other side is Westmount, because the mountain has 3 peaks. And there you can see the top of the other one. And of course it's 3 peaks. The mountain has 3 peaks right at the heart, center, south, and right between the east and the west on the island. Montreal, island of the Hawk. Made it, grateful, thankful. Rent's paid, electricity bills paid, and got food, got coffee. Gonna let my mane out now. Who wants to cut some pieces of my hair for $1 million each? Each lock. Gonna give half, 50% to my anonymous friend, and I will to build the, you know what I will to build, right? My will to build, construct, with construction workers, rock and roll, LOV, to the construction workers on the cranes, from this androgynous Aspie artist, athlete, philosopher. Will to build on the Canadian-US border, the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, and the forgotten goddess temple, the forgotten goddess temple, the forgotten goddess, forgotten goddess, forgotten goddess, GODDSS, forgotten goddess temple. That's what I will to build, you know, the forgotten goddess temple, and the house of the dragon, and the pyramid, scarlet, crimson, crimson, scarlet, that's red, pyramid, house of the dragon, and fourth, the people's Rainbow People's Palace, the Rainbow People's Palace, the Rainbow People's Palace, you know. So that's my will to build on the Canadian-US border. Let's go for the Democratic Republic of North America, which I'm laying the foundations with. Trillions of kisses, trillions of kisses, trillions of kisses. Is there some people skating? There's a skating ring there. Oh yeah, there's some people who are here, who are there. So I guess some people made it on the Friday, came and to enjoy their walk. Some people there on the bench, I think making out, that's good. Making out is good, hugging with consent is good. Whenever I see physical activity, I always LOVE, encourage all fitness, working out, training, exercising, you know, has been his and will be my medicine and therapy of choice. And this is what we gotta do, you know, for the North American complex, the North American Collective Civilizational Complex, which we are, Quebecers here. The beauty of the North American complex, we made what I call the Great Linguistic Compromise. As a philosopher, we made the Great Linguistic Compromise of the French language, myself here, Quebecer, Canadian, North American. So, you know, we made a collective compromise to have the continuity of peace and harmony decades and decades and decades ago. Sometimes there's divergence and there's tensions and there's struggles, but overall, you know, we're pretty good. We're pretty good. So it's also making an effort, you know, as an individual. So we gotta get that dragon army at least once in a while, once a week, maybe even once a day. One Celine Dion song with the translation in English. My brothers and sisters know that. Gotta get the North American Collective. Celine Dion song, French with English translation. Now, I'm not saying that you could try to sing it the first time and sing it in French the first time you hear it. But listen to it once and with a translation. North Americans unite, blah 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 is the call. My call for a public private partnership, fundamentally when I say pledge your allegiance, our family 100% with that. When I say support, join allied dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, it's fundamentally a call for a public private partnership. It's fundamentally a call for a public private partnership across the collective North American civilizational complex. We need public private partnership. We need a strong social safety net. Millionaires, billionaires, and please reduce the cost of the tickets of the NFL, National Football League, NHL, National Hockey League, NBA, National Basketball Association, MLB. Give some free tickets to the firefighters, public workers, pick up the garbage, their athletes also. Give some charity and support building the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, the Forgotten Goddess Temple. That's my will to build a Forgotten Goddess, GODDSS, double S at the end, Goddess, 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 Forgotten Goddess Temple. The Forgotten Goddess Temple on the Canadian-US border, Forgotten Goddess Temple, North American People's Imperial Coliseum, North American People's Imperial Coliseum, Forgotten Goddess Temple, House of the Dragon, scarlet, red, crimson. Scarlet and crimson are basically shades of red. My favorite color, the red, and in the pyramid, and right here the fourth building to build, which I will build with help support from others and construction workers, the Rainbow People's Palace for my fellow LGBTQ community. You know, we gotta get that rock and roll freedoms Gotta be insured, my security, my liberty. Now I'm in the public, so I got added responsibilities. Do these on obligations. Here it is, a sense of freedom when I come here, a sense of joy and freedom, but that freedom is in harmony with nature and others. Here on my second home, the mountain. You know, myself and others here. You know, get flashes of past life reincarnations. Some not reincarnations, was a woman, sometimes a man, a warrior, a soldier, a captain, whore, priestess. Sorts of reincarnations. Today, Adrian Hannah, Dragon Zero. Nobody's born a dragon. Not even myself. aka Priestess Hannah. aka Priestess Hannah. aka Priestess Hannah. I'm not gonna discuss the DRT theory. The DRT theory is the only solution. And again, I gotta say my gratitude before I do. For social for the public finances, my DRT theory, the debt refusion theory, the only solution. So, we're gonna take all the public and the private. I'm gonna say my gratitude, grateful thing for my rent paid, electricity bills paid, got food and coffee, and grateful that I made it again here on top of the mountain, my second home, and in Mount Royal. It's this 17th of January, and then I'm gonna go back to my lair. And hopefully somebody's making love tonight, a good love, and new love, homosexual love, lesbian love, black and white love, interracial homosexual love, Michael Sam type of love, all sorts of love. Hug like you never hugged before with consent and whatever type it is. Anyways. So here we gotta go. Salut, comment ça va? Ouais. C'est la première fois que vous venez sur la montagne? Ok. Vous savez que des fois il y a les branches qui tombent, hein? Juste faites attention à vous parce que... Hey, salut! Bonne course. J'ai entendu parler d'un hibou. Vous avez vu un hibou?
Un hibou, ici, un hibou qui habite là.
Ah, ok. Ah, ils sont beaux les hiboux, hein? Bye, prenez soin de vous. Oui, pareillement à vous. So here we're French, you know? Here we're Quebecers. So we speak French. Our language here is French, as you heard. So we gotta get the love for the children. And the hibou, they say that is an owl, you know? Owls. That's why they said hibou, owls there. Owls. So they said an owl, and we had a good that there's the nest of an owl. That's what they said, the nest of an owl. So here we got that French, you know, this is the great linguistic compromise which we made, and here we speak French, but we speak also English. We're bilingual, but we just love the French language and the fact that we made the compromise of the French language, which is a beautiful thing. That's why I say you gotta listen to some Celine Dion, and you know, here in Quebec we got not just maple syrup, not just Celine Dion, we got built great hydroelectric dams, great cities, great skyscrapers, we got great cheese, great culture, great humor, great music. We got a lot of good things. We got a lot of great cuisine, great hockey, great skiing, great mountains, and we just love the languages. You just heard it. That was French, you know. So we got Tango French here, you know. So we got a LOV, my family right there, you know. So they're my family. My family sometimes we're dysfunctional, but you also in the United States are my family. So let's get married. You know. That's how I consider you myself, my family. You know, I relate in a familial way, like a big family, Quebec, Canada, North America, and all who come to join us. We got a common destiny. Quebec, Canada, United States. We got a common manifest destiny. We do have a common manifest destiny in terms that we're an emergent civilizational complex. We're an emergent civilizational complex. We're an emergent civilizational complex. We're an emergent civilizational complex, which is not only distinct, but is not only divorced, but is distinct from Western civilization. It's not only divorced, but is distinct from Western civilization. It's not only divorced, but it's distinct from Western civilization. So that's what we gotta be thinking about, and that was a beautiful encounter there with, I consider, my family. And when I crossed Canada in 2017, that's when I established a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians, Quebecers, and I got your back. If there's ever an invasion, I'll be the first one to get. And I got my theory for total mobile defense theory, and call for the Operation Northern Scorpion, citizen integration, Operation Northern Scorpion, Operation Northern Scorpio, for the Operation Northern Scorpio, because we got a scorpion, which of course has to be done, man. We gotta do it on that, has to be done. So Operation Northern Scorpio with the hawk, So that's what it is with that. That's what it is with that, So that's what we gotta get doing with that, So we gotta get the Operation Northern Scorpio, the Operation Northern Scorpion, the Operation Northern Scorpio. So we gotta get doing, Operation Northern Scorpio with a hawk, and I gotta get out to the right side, stay on the right side, just like driving, because here I got added responsibilities and duties and obligation, and gonna discuss my DRT theory. Gonna be that DRT theory. Gonna be that DRT theory. Gotta be that DRT theory. Gotta build that DRT theory, that debt refusion theory, That's all we gotta do, The DRT, the debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE. So I'm gonna now discuss the DRT. The debt refusion theory. Why do I make the statement that it's the only solution? It's the only solution due to the fact that today we pay on the public debt 46 point on the public debt of Canada. Listen to this. We pay $46.5 billion in interest. $46.5 billion in interest. $46.5 billion in interest. That's just the amount of interest we pay on the public debt. That's just the amount of interest we pay on the public debt. Just the amount of interest we pay on the public debt. Just the amount of interest we pay on the public debt. Just the amount of interest we pay on the public debt. Just the amount of interest we pay on the public debt. Just the amount of interest we pay on the public debt. 46.5 billion in interest. 46.5 billion in interest. That's the amount. Make a calculation. 1 billion has 1,000 zeros. 1 billion is 1,000 million. So we pay this year. We paid actually fiscal year 2024 46.5 billion in interest only on the public debt of Canada. In 2020-2021, the number was 20.3 billion. 20.3 billion double is 40.6. Is 40.6, right? It's 40.6. So they actually, in 3 years, of course, due to COVID, and I survived COVID. For me, it was like death, pestilence, and disease. But it more than double, because 20.3 times 2, that would have been 40.6. That would have been 40.6. That would have been 40.6, right? 40.6. It's 46.5. It was, because we already paid it 2024. So now it's going to only increase. So imagine in a personal context, if your interest payments in 2020, 2021 on your credit card. I do not have credit cards myself. I have a credit line. I got 11% of interest. I have 11% of interest. I have 11% of interest. 11% of interest. I don't have credit cards myself, got a credit line, 11% of interest. But imagine that it would have, from $156 that you paid, it would have went to $333. Imagine that from $156, it would have went to $333. Imagine that from $156, it would have went to $333. Imagine that paying the interest would have more than doubled from 156, which you would have paid, or I as an individual or somebody else would have paid 156, that it would have went to 333. To 333, that it would have went to 333. So more than double. While your salary would have only increased by 5%, 10%, 15%. Most salaries have not doubled. The GDP of Canada has not doubled. The GDP of Canada has not doubled, right? But paying the interest on the public debt has more than doubled. So you realize that it's not sustainable. And in case of an individual, if the debt servicing, also known as paying the interest, would have doubled from 156 to 333 without the salaries doubled, that means that you have to cut the budget. Rent you have to pay, electricity you got to pay, but maybe cut Netflix, cut Disney, cut internet. Don't buy wine, don't buy cheese, don't buy whatever sweets you buy. You have to reduce your budget. Oh, exactly, automatically. It's just mathematically. One would have to automatically. So what are we going to cut? The security forces, police, prisons, the sanitation, public workers. LOV to them. LOVE. We're going to pick up the garbage, the compost, the recycling. What are we going to cut? All these services. So the DRT theory is the only solution, my brothers and sisters. The DRT theory, the debt refusion theory. D stands for debt, R refusion, T for theory. My DRT theory also includes, and you can argue all you want, but there's no other way. My DRT theory also includes monetary integration theory. Monetary integration theory is exactly the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union, So my DRT, debt refusion theory, is the only solution, or something very similar to my DRT theory will be the only solution to the public financial situation. There's no other way around it. So we're going to take, and again, it includes monetary integration theory, which was the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union. But the Germans, they destroyed their own central banks. The Italians, they destroyed their own central banks, their own national central banks. Many countries in Europe, they destroyed it, and they created a common central bank. There it is. We're made at the top of the Belvedere, Conjuring, my second home, the headquarters of the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon King, the headquarters of the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon King, and the headquarters of the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom. The DRT, that refusion theory, I like that. Love is good. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt. So my DRT theory includes monetary integration theory. My DRT theory includes monetary integration theory. My DRT theory includes monetary integration theory. So my DRT theory includes monetary integration theory. That's what it is. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt. So my debt, $10,000, your coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Keep in mind my DRT theory, debt refusion theory, includes monetary integration theory, which is exactly the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union. So the Europeans, they created a common central bank. The Europeans, the ECB, European Central Bank, and they destroyed their own national banks. So they destroyed their own national banks, The Germans, the Italians, the French, of course, they destroyed their own central banks. The Italians, the Germans, many countries in Europe, they destroyed their own national central banks, and they created a common central bank, the ECB, the European Central Bank. The ECB, the European Central Bank. So that's what they did. So they created a common central bank, They created a common central bank. See, that's my favorite one. The skyscraper there. Here you can read some French and English. This is kind of when you can't see it really now, but this is what it is there, That what it is there. That's what it is there with that. That's what it is. So that's, imagine all the work to build all this. This is a great city. Great city. Thank you, construction workers. Thanks to Hydro-Quebec workers. That's why we got these lights here, you know. It wouldn't be for them. We wouldn't have the lights. We would have little lights that will just flicker on the stop, you know. So that's the pyramid there, you know. I guess the original pyramids remain also. All the curses against me be like dust off the pyramids. All the curses against me be like dust off the pyramids. Curses against me be like dust off the pyramids. That's the pyramid there, you know. That's the pyramid there, you know. So that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get doing, man. You know. So the DRT theory, debt refusion theory, DRT. We gotta add a little bit of that. United States flag there too. Quebec we got out there. Quebec we gotta add the dragon scarlet rimmed crimson and the scarlet rimmed crimson, and of course we gotta add, of course, not just the one but the dragon and the 7-pointed stars, the goddess, the DGA dancing goddess army, pledge your allegiance, and the dragon flag, you know. So that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get doing, you know. So that's what we gotta get, the DRT. There's no solution but the DRT. I'm just gonna go sip a little bit of hydration, and I'm gonna restart and go around about the mountain and inside, and gonna go finish my workout, because to be honest I'm getting hungry, so not a problem. Hunger is not a problem because I got food at home. It's just that I'm a few hours away and I'm gonna take a long route back, so just want to get that hydration. So I'm gonna go inside and hydrate and come back in, and I'm gonna finish the discussion of the DRT. So butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, LOV to the firefighters, LOV to the nurses, and oh sheesh, it's closed. Oh, because it's Friday. Maybe it closes early. If not, I can buy a coffee on my way back. I'm gonna go check the other route, see if that's open. If that's not open, then of course I'm gonna go to the other one, you know. So that's what it is with that. And gotta get that DRT. So again, the motive, the reason why I make the statement that the DRT, debt refusion theory, is the only solution, is due to the fact that today, 2024 fiscal year, we paid 46.5 billion in interest. 46.5 billion in interest. 46.5 billion in interest. 46.5 billion. That's 1,000 million. 46,000 million. 46,000 million. 46,000 million. That's what it is with that. That's what it is with that, you know. So that's what it is, you know. Alright, yeah, it's closed. Anyways, I usually close it unless it's open upstairs. Let's see, 3 times. So that's what it is with that, you know. So that's what it is. Okay, coffee on the way back. So the DRT, debt refusion theory, the only solution, my brothers and sisters, again, due to the fact that we pay 46.5 billion, that's 46,000 million, just servicing, aka the interest, just with the interest only which we pay on the public debt. That is just the interest we pay on the public debt. So that's not the principle. And again, my DRT theory is the only solution to the financial problems, because paying the interest only on the public debt has more than doubled. And again, if this would have been on a personal level, on a personal individual citizen level, as a citizen consumer, imagine my paying the interest on my credit cards. I don't own credit cards. I have one credit line. I got $10,000 in debt. That's it. That's all. $10,000 in debt. That's it. That's all. $10,000 in debt. That's it. That's all. Imagine if my interest payment would have been from 156 to 333 without my salary doubling. Then I would have had to cut, reduce. You also, you don't have to reduce, you would have had to cut, you would have had to reduce, you would have had to cut, you would have had to reduce, you would have had to cut, you would have had to reduce, you would have had to cut, you know, you would have had to cut, and you would have had to reduce and cut your budget, whatever the case may be, your budget, whatever the case may be. So that's what it is with that, you know, so that's what it is, you know, so just the DRT debt refusion theory, that's the only solution. The debt R refusion theory, it includes monetary integration theory. So my theory includes monetary integration theory, which is the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union. The Germans destroyed their central banks. The Italians destroyed their central banks, their national central banks. They destroyed it. They're annulled in the 90s long ago, many decades ago. More than 25 years ago, they annulled their old currencies, and they destroyed their old central bank. They destroyed their old central bank, you know. They destroyed their old central banks, you know. So that's what it is with that, and that's what it is. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt. Comme là. Vous êtes. So anyway, so we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt, you know. So the DRT is the only solution. The DRT is the only solution. The DRT is the only solution. Debt refusion theory. Debt refusion theory. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt. We're gonna take it all, you know. We're gonna take it all the public and the private debt. We're gonna take all the public and the private debt, you know. So we're gonna take it all. So all the public and the private debt. We're gonna take it all. So all the public and the private debt, including my $10,000, your $10,000, and we're gonna take it all the public and the private debt, you know. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt and convert it to US dollars, all the Canadian public private debt. And again, keep in mind that my DRT theory, debt refusion theory, also includes monetary integration theory, monetary integration theory, monetary integration theory, monetary integration theory, which is exactly the monetary financial theory which was implemented in the European Union. They created the ECB, they destroyed in Europe their national central banks. In Germany, they destroyed their national central banks. Italy, France, many countries, they now have a supranational central bank, the ECB. That's what they did. So my DRT theory also contains the financial theory known as monetary integration theory, which the Europeans in the European Union implemented in the 90s. So we're going to take all the public and the private debt, including my $10,000, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, all the debt of all Canadians, public and private, we're going to convert it into US dollars. 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 Into US dollars. Into US dollars. Into US dollars. We're going to convert it into US dollars. All that debt, going to convert it into US dollars. All the debt, public and private debt, can convert to US dollars because the United States dollar still is the currency of choice for world trade, international business, import, export, global trade, and whatever the case may be. So we're going to convert it all to US dollars, to US dollars, to US dollars. We're going to add it Canada first, but preferably at the same time implemented by national with the USA. Preferably at the same time implemented by national with the USA. So take all the public-private debt, all that number, we're going to convert it into US dollars. All that number, we're going to convert it into US dollars. All that number, we're going to convert it into US dollars, you know. Convert it into US dollars. All that number is going to be in the trillions. Added with the US dollars, all that number is going to be the initial money supply for the creation of a new central bank. A new central bank. It could be expanded with Mexico, Haiti, Jamaica, and part of the of North American countries, of the North American Collective. Canada first, United States preferably at the same time, like the establishment of the NHL, National Hockey League, PVHL, Professional Women's Hockey League, in a binational affair. And create what I call the new currency based on the value of the US dollar. So all the public-private debt converted to US dollar is going to be the initial money supply. All the public-private debt will be the initial money supply. All the public-private debt will be the initial money supply in circulation for this new currency called the UE. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. The UE, the UE, the UE. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit, the universal exchange unit, the universal exchange unit, the UE, the UE, the UE. We're going to set an interest rate level of 10%. It could be 3.33, 7.18, 6.1, 9.3, whatever, 1.56, below 10% maximum, below 10% maximum, below 10% maximum, below 10% maximum, below 10% maximum. So that's what it's going to be. That's what it's going to be, you know. That's what it's going to be. So we're going to create all the public and the private debt. We're going to take it together. So all that money is going to be the initial money supply for a new central bank, for a new public bank. So all the money is going to be a new currency called the UE, Universal Exchange Unit. The UE, the UE, the UE. With that money, we're going to do great things. Rebuild the infrastructure of North America, the bridges, the highways, build more hydroelectric dams. Mass finance the building of hydroelectric dams, more hydroelectric dams. Mass finance the building of 44 tunnels. Mass finance the construction, the buildings of 44 tunnels. Construct, build. 44, the number after 43 before 45 is 44 tunnels inspired by the Cheyenne NORAD headquarter complex in the mountains of Cheyenne Mountains, and the Montreal Underground Village. To build those tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war for the continuity of the North American civilizational complex based on one of my papers, of course, which I've started writing a few years ago, and of course which I've continued during COVID, and right when I predicted that an international conflagration is on the horizon back in October 2019. I wrote a paper with a long special academic title, of course, which had it on the go. Comme là. So we're going to take all that protocols and we're going to create the initiative, which of course I've written, is of course which I've written is of course called the North American Citizen Integrated Public-Private Partnership Initiative for the construction of tunnel complexes in case of a thermonuclear war. So it's a fancy academic, philosophical, scholarly title, and that's what it is with that, and that's what it is with the go, you know. So that's what it is with the doing, you know. So that's what we need to do. Implement that protocols, you know. So there go on the do with that. So it's some things which we gotta implement, you know, The DRT is the only solution, So the debt refusion theory is for the creation, of course, of the UE. Again, it includes the monetary integration theory, it includes my theory, of course. Monetary integration theory includes my theory, includes monetary integration theory. It's included in my DRT theory. It's included in my DRT theory. The debt refusion theory includes monetary integration theory. So that's what it is with that, and that's it. That's all. We have to do it. There's no other way. We pay 46.5 billion in interest on the public debt. Imagine it more than doubled. Yes, due to COVID. I had COVID. It was like death, pestilence, and disease. It was like death, pestilence, and disease. You know. So that's what it is with that. So having had that, all the implementation, that's what we gotta get doing with that. That's what we gotta get doing, you know. So there's no other way. It's just numbers, financial numbers, mathematics. You can argue all you want, but or something very similar to my DRT theory, debt fusion theory, has to be implemented. Something very, very similar to my theory, there's just not a way. Just imagine your personal financial case. If your or mine debt interest, the interest paid on the debt or debt servicing would have doubled in 3 years, let's say from 156 to 333, while the salary does not double, it only increases 5, and our Canadian economy GDP did not double. Not double at all. It actually maybe went even negative. So that's the paradox. And gonna have to cut. What are we gonna cut? Public services, the sanitation, the picking up of the garbages, the sanitation. What are we gonna cut? 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 That's it. That's all. 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 The DRT theory, the DRT that's refusion theory, that refusion theory for the creation of the UE, universal exchange in it. That's all we need to do. That's what we need to be doing. The debt refusion theory, the creation of the universal exchange in it. That's how we gotta get doing with that. To create the UE. There's no other way around it. You can argue all you want, but that's the solution now. There's no other solution but the DRT theory. Which we gotta implement. The debt refusion theory. Debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE. The universal exchange, the universal exchange, the universal exchange, the universal exchange in it. The DRT, debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE. The universal exchange in it. That's it, that's all. Implement the DRT. With that money, we're gonna be doing great things. Finance the building establishment of the Dancing Goddess Army, aka North American Integrated Dance League, with the Dragon Army, aka the North American Citizen Integrated Security Service and Defense Force. It's time for the Republic, my brothers and sisters. The king is absent. The king is absent. The king is absent. It's time for the Republic. The king is absent. It's time for the Republic. The king is absent. It's time for the Republic. It's time for the Republic. The king is absent. It's time for the Republic. It's time for the Republic. King is absent. The king is absent. It's time for the Republic. So the king is absent, so that's what it is with that. That's what it is with that. That's what we gotta get. That's all we gotta get doing. So we gotta get doing with that. So that's what we gotta get doing, So the DRT, debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE, the universal exchange in it. With that money, we're gonna rebuild the infrastructure, rebuild the North American urban cities, aka the ghettos of North America. We're gonna rebuild the ghettos of North America, mass financing the neglected urban cities, inner cities, and reconstruct mass finance fitness, mass finance tourism, citizen tourism across the collective North America, across the Democratic Republic of North American Union. Mass finance fitness, citizens to work out, train, exercise, credit some UEs, credit some UEs, credit some UEs, credit some UEs for tourism, for tourism. Rebuild the infrastructure, rebuild the bridges, build tunnels for thermonuclear war defense, implement Operation Northern Scorpio, my total mobile defense theory. The total mobile defense theory applied. We're gonna get doing with that, and that's what we're gonna get doing, and it's gonna do lots of good. We're gonna mass finance fitness, mass finance the reconstruction of the infrastructure, the bridges, mass rebuilding of the infrastructure is needed. The only solution is my DRT, the creation of the UE. We're gonna do lots of good with that. Theory paradoxically comes out of my curse of Asperger's, that geopolitics is my special interest, also known as obsessive interest for neurodivergent people with HFA like myself. And in geopolitics, you got to know a little bit about public finances, and on the table with those trillions of kisses, the debt profusion theory for the creation of the UE. Great things with that money. We're going to be building more hydroelectric dams in Quebec, financing citizens to work out, train, exercise. Finance my workout for some UEs, the one that I created, which requires no equipment back in October 2019. It's just simple, effective, and efficient, and the Dragon Army. And of course, mass finance the building of the infrastructure tunnels and for defense and to be able to intercept intercontinental ballistic missiles and build a Canadian Republican Army, North American Democratic Force, citizen integrated security service and defense only, security service and defense only by the principles of security service and defense only, you know, consent and hygiene services, whatever one can do, blah, 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 you know. So we're going to build a time for the Republic. The King is absent, brothers and sisters, fellow Canadians, my family, coast to coast, North Americans included, and all who come to join us, all who come to join us, ALL, all who come to join us, you know. It's time for the Republic. The King is absent. It's time for the DRT. There's no other way, or something very similar to my DRT theory, debt refusion theory. Encouraging all to work out. We're going to do lots of great things with that. And now it's time for a little bit of that French, because we're here in La Belle Province, saluting the firefighters, LOV, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the grocery store clerks, Hydro-Quebec workers, those flipping some burgers. Look at that bunny. See the bunny there? That's a bunny rabbit. See, I don't want to scare it, but that's a bunny. We have rabbits here, that's why I don't put it. See, Papa goes fast, see? Bunny, I'm not going to chase you. I got food at home. See, it's a bunny. See? Bunny rabbit. Bunny. In French, it's lapin. See? Et voilà. There we go. Et voilà, on est sur la montagne, il y a le lapin. On vient de voir le lapin. Votre arc-en-ciel, je vous encourage à faire l'entraînement physique. Je suis sur le Mont Royal, je viens voir un lapin qui vient de courir bien vite. Je veux pas un fait de dommage, je veux pas chasser le lapin parce que, car du fait que j'ai de quoi dans mon sac à dos à manger, j'ai du pain, j'ai du beurre, pas de beurre, mais j'ai des saucisses chez nous, j'ai un peu de salade, j'ai du ketchup, fait que je peux me faire de quoi manger quand je rentre chez nous. Et je vous encourage à faire l'entraînement physique à Québécois, votre savoir quand c'est l'artiste Trump s'en vient sur la scène. J'ai prévu la conflagration internationale qui se déroule en ce moment en 2019. Votre artiste, athlète, philosophe, analyste et théoricien en géopolitique et bien sûr un mystique qui a l'Asperger's, l'autisme hautement fonctionnel, l'autisme hautement fonctionnel, qui est autiste, puis qui a l'Asperger's, puis qui vous encourage à faire l'entraînement physique, qui vous fait appel à soutenir le rêve de votre dragon arc-en-ciel, qui est le rêve pour la manifestation pour le partenariat public-privé pour l'union du collectif nord-américain dans une république démocratique. La république. Le roi est absent, mes chers Québécois, les Canadiens, ma famille. Les Nord-Américains aussi, le roi est absent. C'est le temps pour la République. Ma théorie, la théorie d'intégration citoyenne, la théorie de la refusion de la dette, la théorie de l'intégration citoyenne pour la création du partenariat public-privé de deux institutions de partenariat public-privé basées fondamentalement pour trois principes fondamentaux, la sécurité puis la défense puis le service, la sécurité puis la défense puis le service, la sécurité puis la défense puis le service, la sécurité, la défense puis le service. Et bien sûr, la théorie de la refusion de la dette est la seule et unique solution qui on peut faire l'implémentation aujourd'hui. Et je dois commencer à dire avec ma gratitude, j'ai payé mon loyer. Mon loyer pour le mois de janvier payé, on est déjà le 17 janvier. Lundi 20 janvier, un gros nettoyage de chez nous. J'ai nettoyé, je fais du nettoyage aujourd'hui et du lavage et j'ai payé mon loyer pour le mois de janvier, j'ai payé ma facture d'électricité, puis il me reste pas beaucoup. Je vis présentement une crise financière, je suis en stress financier, je vis un stress financier, mais je suis joyeux, je suis content, je suis de bonne humeur. Quand je vais ici sur la montagne, ma deuxième maison, pas juste la mienne, parce que ça ne m'appartient pas en tant que tel, ça nous appartient, mais ici quand je viens, souvent, il y a moins d'illusions, il y a comment je peux expliquer ça, philosophique, mystique, spirituel un peu, il y a moins d'illusions, puis j'ai une liberté, mais cette liberté est en harmonie en base avec la civilisation puis la nature. Parce que je suis sur la montagne, vous voyez, les arbres eux-mêmes sont 7 fois plus grands que moi-même, que je suis moi-même la poussière, mais la poussière, juste de la poussière, mais poussière qui est androgène, pansexuelle, messieurs, madame, qui vous chante bien du rock'n'roll, puis qui a fait l'analyse de la théorie en géopolitique 24 sur 24. 24 sur 24, l'analyse de la théorie en géopolitique, puis c'est la géopolitique 24 sur 24. C'est la géopolitique 24 sur 24. C'est la géopolitique 24 sur 24. Puis c'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut qu'on fasse nous-mêmes. Et donc, c'est des choses que je vais vous faire l'implémentation. Je vais appeler pour faire l'implémentation de ma trinité de théorie. La théorie d'intégration citoyenne, la théorie de la refusion de la dette, la théorie de la fusion démocratique. Puis ici, je suis en harmonie, en concordance, mais cette harmonie puis en liberté, cette liberté quand je viens ici, ben, c'est une liberté quand même avec un compromis, une entente, comme un pacte avec, c'est pas comme qui ont fait le pacte avec, le pacte qui ont fait, bien sûr, le pacte qui ont fait des coureurs de bois, mais pour passer la rivière avec le diable, mais c'est bien sûr pas ce pacte-là, mais c'est bien sûr une entente, un pacte mutuel avec la forêt sur la montagne, la nature, je vais dire la déesse, puis moi-même, la poussière, dans une manière qu'il n'y a pas vraiment de domination, il y a une collaboration. C'est pas une compétition, c'est une collaboration, une coopération, tu sais. C'est ça la différence, une coopération, une collaboration entre moi-même, puis la nature, la forêt, puis il y a moins d'illusions. J'ai moins d'illusions ici, on dit, je suis plus libre, puis plus, pas en vérité, veritas, on dit en latin, mais c'est peut-être m'exprimer d'une manière moins spirituelle, puis plus philosophique, mais peut-être un peu des deux ensemble, dans une manière aussi en tant qu'individu citoyen qui est mystique aussi, qui croit à des réincarnations. Des fois j'étais né homme, des fois j'étais né femme. Je suis né québécoise dans une autre vie, dans une autre vie homme. J'ai rencontré Louis Soeur, puis bien des vies antérieures, mais ça c'est juste une de mes croyances spirituelles. Puis bien sûr, je suis venu souvent à la montagne, je suis venu souvent dans des vies antérieures, ici sur la montagne, sur le Mont-Royal. Puis c'est comme ma deuxième maison. Fait que mais je découvre, à chaque fois, on dirait qu'à chaque fois, même s'il y a une connaissance, on dirait qu'à chaque fois, il y a quelque chose de nouveau sur la montagne, puis dans la forêt, qui se découvre, même si je connais, parce que c'est comme ma deuxième maison, mais à chaque fois, il y a quand même du nouveau, parce qu'à chaque fois, je rencontre quelque chose de nouveau, ou des gens nouveaux, ou des choses comme les lapins, des différents lapins, comme je viens de le voir tantôt, mais ça, c'est quand même une expérience en tant que citoyen individuel qui vient souvent sur la montagne, que j'ai même vécu. Je me suis construit comme une tente, des tentes dans des vies antérieures, puis j'ai passé des mois, des semaines, des années cumulatives dans des vies antérieures jusqu'à maintenant, aujourd'hui, en 2025, le 17 janvier sur la montagne. Et puis là, je ne veux pas tarder, je veux discuter la TRD, encore une fois, la gratitude. Je dois saluer les pompiers. Amour aux pompiers, amour aux boulangers, les boulangeries, les travailleurs d'Hydro-Québec, les infirmières, les boulangers, les électriciens, les plombiers, dans les écoles, dans les garderies, qui ont changé les couches, ceux qui travaillent bien sûr dans la construction, ceux qui font des sandwichs, ceux qui travaillent dans la nourriture, qui travaillent dans la production alimentaire, les camionneurs, les chemins de fer, les transports en public commun, tous les travailleurs de toutes les côtes, puis moi-même en tant que je suis ouvert pour les affaires 24 sur 24, vous savez que je suis moi-même un analyste, théoricien en géopolitique, je suis moi-même un analyste, théoricien en géopolitique, un philosophe, un artiste, un analyste et théoricien en géopolitique qui va se pencher un peu les genoux, plier un peu les genoux parce que on ne sait jamais que encore je vous encourage pas de passer par ce chemin, à moins que vous connaissiez la montagne. C'est quand même plus difficile. C'est plus difficile de se rendre. C'est mieux que vous restez sur le chemin principal. Juste un petit conseil, là. Puis c'est le vendredi soir avant le sabbat, mais moi j'adore venir. Moi je connais bien sûr la montagne, tu sais. Mais là, il faut que moi-même je diminue la vitesse parce que je suis en pente. Fait que je dois quand même plier mes genoux puis faire bien sûr du bénévolat, dans le sens que pour du bénévolat, pour vous dire, pour votre prudence en tant que citoyen, de ne pas vous aventurer dans ce domaine ici, si vous ne connaissez pas la montagne, mais que vous fassiez bien sûr un tour puis vous promenez par la promenade principale, par le chemin bien sûr qui s'appelle le Camélien Wood, en place de rentrer bien sûr dans les places. C'est comme moi je rentre ici, dans la place, dans la forêt bien sûr, sur la montagne que je viens de traverser. Puis il y a bien sûr des chemins différents qui sont comme qu'on voit les citoyens qui sont. C'est mieux que vous restez comme eux autres, ils sont dans le chemin de la forêt bien sûr, pour le faire bien sûr de navigation du point de vue des centrales bien sûr, pour faire bien sûr un point de vue d'être plus en sécurité, bien sûr. Plus en sécurité, bien sûr, tu sais. On va être là. Vous avez jamais vu visage. Vous avez un couteau. Grazie. Dis-le. 7. Les mathématiques. T'as appris. 7. 167. 5. 49. C'est ça. Bon. La TRD. Théorie de la refusion de la dette. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, bien sûr. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Il faut que je la discute. C'est la seule unique solution, bien sûr. C'est la seule unique solution qui peut nous sortir de où qu'on est rendu aujourd'hui. D'où qu'on est rendu aujourd'hui dans les finances publiques. Dans les finances publiques, bien sûr. Dans les finances publiques. On est rendu à payer 46,5 milliards d'intérêts. 46,5 milliards d'intérêts. 46,5 milliards d'intérêts. 46,5 milliards d'intérêts. On est rendu à payer 46,5 milliards d'intérêts sur la dette publique. Imaginez-vous, là. Comment on paye d'intérêt sur la dette publique? Comment on paye d'intérêt sur la dette publique? C'est 46,5 milliards. 46,5 milliards, c'est 46,5 milliards. 46,5 milliards. En 2020-2021, c'était 20,3 milliards. Fait que le service de la dette publique, ça a plus que doublé. Ça a plus que doublé. Le service de la dette publique, ça a plus que doublé. 20,3 milliards, ça aurait été 40,3. Double. Là, c'est rendu 46,5 milliards. Juste payer l'intérêt sur la dette publique. Fait qu'imaginez-vous dans un contexte que ma dette, j'ai pas de carte de crédit, mais admettons que moi, en tant que citoyen, ou vous, en tant que citoyen, citoyenne, que votre dette, juste l'intérêt sur la dette que vous payez sur vos cartes de crédit en 3 ans, de 2020 à 2021, ça va de 156 $ à 333, puis bien sûr, sans que votre salaire double. Sans que votre salaire double. Si le salaire ne double pas, si le salaire ne double pas, il va falloir juste augmenter de 5, 10, 15%, puis il va falloir couper à quelque part dans le budget. Qu'est-ce que vous allez couper? L'Internet, le vin, les sorties dehors. Vous allez devoir couper le Netflix. Il va devoir couper quelque chose. Il n'y a pas de oui et non, il va falloir couper quelque chose. C'est ça le problème, tu sais. Il va falloir couper à quelque chose, tu sais. Il va falloir couper quelque chose, bien sûr. Il va falloir couper à quelque part. Il va falloir couper à quelque part. Fait que c'est ça qui se passe en ce moment avec la dette publique. Il n'y a pas de solution que la TRD à cause qu'on paye l'intérêt sur la dette, l'intérêt seulement sur la dette publique, ça a plus que doublé en 3 ans. C'est sûr à cause de la COVID, puis je l'ai eu la COVID, j'étais bien malade, je pensais que j'allais mourir. J'ai dit wow, that's it, that's all, mais je meurs, puis je suis pas mort, puis je suis en train de renaître, puis j'ai survécu, tu sais. Puis ayant survécu la COVID, mais ça m'a fait bien sûr. Maintenant, je peux vous présenter la TRD, la théorie de la refusion de la dette, qui est la seule et unique solution en ce moment, puisqu'il n'y a pas d'autre solution. Vous pouvez vous ostiner tant que vous voudriez, mais il n'y a pas d'autre solution que la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Encore une fois, notre économie canadienne n'a pas doublé, en moins que ça, c'est allé dans le négatif en 3 ans. Mais le service de la dette, payer l'intérêt sur la dette publique a plus que doublé. En 2020-2021, c'était 20,3 milliards. 1 milliard 109 0. Fait que 20,3 fois 2, ça aurait été 40,6. C'est rendu à 46,5. À 46,5. Fait que c'est tellement une augmentation, bien sûr. C'est tellement une augmentation, que c'est double, tu sais. C'est une augmentation double. Et donc, bien sûr, c'est la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, bien sûr, qu'on doit faire ensemble pour faire c'est la solution. Il n'y a pas d'autre solution. Qu'est-ce qu'on va couper dans les finances publiques? On va couper quoi dans les finances publiques? On va couper quoi dans les finances publiques? On va couper quoi? Les services publics, les services de vidange, Qu'est-ce qu'on va couper? La police, la sécurité de service, les prisons, les pompiers, tout ça, les services publics. C'est ça qu'il va falloir couper quelque part. Mais sinon, la TRD, de la refusion de la dette, personnellement, comme les finances personnelles, si l'intérêt est double, ça veut dire qu'il va falloir que vous coupez à quelque part. Il n'y a pas d'autre solution. Que la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Puis la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, ça inclut la théorie d'intégration monétaire. La théorie d'intégration monétaire. La TRD, ma TRD, ça inclut la théorie d'intégration monétaire, la théorie financière que les Européens ont fait de l'implémentation dans les années 90 par la destruction de leur banque centrale nationale. Les Allemands ont détruit leur banque centrale nationale, les Italiens ont détruit leur banque centrale, les Français aussi. Ils ont fait de la création d'une nouvelle banque centrale européenne. La Banque centrale de l'Europe. Puis on met dans circulation l'euro, une nouvelle monnaie. Fait que ma TRD, ça contient la théorie d'intégration monétaire, qui est la théorie financière que les Européens ont faite. Fait que dans ma TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, qui encore une fois, c'est encore la seule et unique solution, quelque chose de semblable, quelque chose de similaire à ma théorie, qui ressemble. Parce qu'on a payé 46,5 milliards. C'est 46 000 millions, 46,5 milliards d'intérêts seulement. Imaginez-vous, là, c'est votre intérêt seulement, l'intérêt que vous payez sur votre carte de crédit, qui s'il aurait doublé, là, ça veut dire qu'il va falloir que vous coupez quelque part dans le budget, ça ne peut pas être soutenu, il va falloir couper quelque chose. On est en veille d'avoir un effondrement des finances publiques bientôt, peut-être lundi, quand Donald Trump il se inaugurait le matin ou l'après-midi, ou quand l'après-midi de l'inauguration, parce que c'est le 20 janvier de l'inauguration, c'est possible qu'il y ait un effondrement des finances publiques canadiennes qui s'en vient lundi ou d'après ça. C'est possible que ça soit un effondrement des finances publiques. C'est possible. C'est possible qu'il y ait un effondrement. On paye 2 fois plus que la dette. C'était 20,3 milliards, tu sais. Là, on paye 46,5 milliards là, sur la dette publique. Imaginez-vous, là, de 20,3 milliards fois 2 à 46,5. 20,3 fois 2, c'est 40,6. On est rendu à payer 46,5 milliards d'intérêts sur la dette publique, là. Imaginez-vous, là. Personnellement, les finances publiques, ça a plus que doublé, payer la dette, l'intérêt sur la dette. Ben, il n'y a pas d'autre solution que la TRD, théorie de la refusation de la dette, je vous l'explique le plus simplement possible. Fait qu'on va prendre toute la dette publique ainsi que privée, ma dette de citoyen en tant que citoyen consommateur, j'ai 10 000 $ de dette. Fait que je vais prendre toute ma dette, votre dette, ta dette, je vais prendre toute ma dette, on va la ramasser ensemble, toute ma dette, ta dette, ma dette, on va de côte à côte de tous les Canadiens et Canadiennes, la dette publique privée, on va faire la conversion dans la devise des États-Unis parce que la devise des États-Unis est encore la monnaie d'échange et de choix pour les finances globales, l'import-l'export, le tourisme, la diplomatie, les mondes des finances mondiales, globales, internationales, blablabla. C'est principalement pour le Canada, mais de préférence en même temps, Canada-États-Unis. Canada-États-Unis, Canada-États-Unis, de préférence en même temps. Fait que toute la dette publique-privée, on va convertir toute la dette publique-privée canadienne dans la devise des États-Unis. En même temps avec les États-Unis, s'ils veulent le Mexique, la Jamaïque, l'Haïti, ils font partie de l'Amérique du Nord, ou qu'est-ce que j'appelle en tant que collectif, le collectif de civilisation du complexe de civilisation de l'Amérique du Nord, merci Hydro-Québec pour l'électricité, pour la lumière. C'est du Montréal, puis dans mon téléphone intelligent pour que je puisse parler de la TRD. TRD, théorie de la refusation de la dette, ça inclut la théorie d'intégration monétaire. On va prendre toute la dette publique-privée, on va faire une nouvelle monnaie. Toute la dette publique-privée convertie dans la devise des États-Unis, avec l'addition avec la dette publique-privée des États-Unis. Cet argent-là, ça va être l'argent en circulation initiale pour la création d'une nouvelle banque, l'Amérique du Nord. On va faire la création d'une nouvelle monnaie d'échange qu'on va appeler l'UI. U.unité. E.change, U.universel. U.unité, E.change, U.universel. Le UI. U.unité, E.change, U.universel. Le UI. U.unité, E.change, U.universel. L'unité d'échange universelle. Le UI. L'unité d'échange universelle. Unité d'échange universelle. U.unité, E.change, U.universel. Le UI. L'unité d'échange universelle. On va mettre un taux d'intérêt de 10%. Après ça, ça peut être 3,33, 7,18, 6,1, 9,3, 1,56, en bas de 10 par principe. En bas de 10% par principe fondamental. Avec cet argent-là, on va pouvoir rebâtir l'infrastructure de l'Amérique du Nord, bâtir plus de centrales d'Hydro-Québec, bâtir les 44 tunnels, construire les 44. Les 44, le chiffre après 43 avant 45, c'est 44. Construire 44 tunnels inspirés par la montagne Cheyenne, qui est le siège social de notre alliance militaire avec les États-Unis, appelé comme le NORAD, ainsi que par le village souterrain de Montréal, dans le cadre d'une guerre thermonucléaire. Encore une fois, j'ai prévu qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant dans le monde en 2019, en octobre, en novembre. C'est ça que je suis, un analyste théoricien en géopolitique qui a prévu la situation actuelle. Puis qui vous présente sur la table de la TRD. On va pouvoir rebâtir l'infrastructure de l'Amérique du Nord, bâtir des tunnels, bâtir plus de centrales d'Hydro-Québec, encourager les gens, financer les gens à faire l'entraînement physique, financer les gens à faire l'entraînement physique, financer les gens à faire de 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 l'entraînement physique pour l'accréditation de unités d'échange universelles. Puis, j'ai créé mon propre système d'entraînement physique en 2019, financé car il ne requiert aucun équipement. On va pouvoir financer, créditer 50 UI, 50 UE, unité d'échange universelle. On ne s'obstinera pas sur le nom, parce qu'en anglais c'est pareil, UE, en français c'est pareil, UE. Ça va faire bien, on va faire un consensus de l'Amérique du Nord, faire un passeport commun, une monnaie d'échange commune, puis on va bien sûr, on n'aura plus de frontières. On n'a pas besoin, on fait un passeport commun, on intègre de la sécurité pour les services, on met en opération l'opération Scorpion du Nord. L'opération Scorpion du Nord, on met en rotation l'opération Scorpion du Nord. L'opération Scorpion du Nord. C'est ça qu'il faut qu'on fasse. L'opération Scorpion du Nord. L'opération Scorpion du Nord. C'est bien sûr, c'est ça qu'il faut qu'on fasse. L'opération Scorpion du Nord. C'est ça qu'il faut qu'on fasse, mes chers. L'opération Scorpion du Nord. C'est des choses qu'il faut qu'on fasse. Encore une fois, on n'a pas le choix. On est rendu à payer 46,5 milliards. Ou quelque chose de très similaire à ma théorie. Très similaire à ma théorie, mais c'est ça principalement la théorie de la refusion de la dette. En vous encourageant à faire l'entraînement physique, amour aux pompiers, boulanger dans les boulangeries, ceux qui sont en train de faire des hamburgers, des cheeseburgers, des salades, dans la sanitation, les travailleurs publics, les caisses, caissières, dans les entrepôts, dans les pompiers, merci. Les boulangers, j'envoie un peu d'amour, tu sais, dans les finances publiques, puis la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, c'est la seule et unique solution, il n'y a pas d'autre solution, encore une fois. Théorie de la refusion de la dette, l'implémentation de ma théorie, la création de l'unité d'échange universelle, et that's it, that's all rock and roll. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. On va faire l'implémentation de ma théorie. On va faire beaucoup de bien avec ça, rebâtir l'infrastructure de l'Amérique du Nord parce qu'on a bien besoin. Je veux juste attacher ma ceinture un peu. Juste. Donnez-moi une seconde, je veux juste attacher ma ceinture. Parce que sur la montagne, des fois, ben, ma ceinture, je vends tout ce que je porte, je vends la ceinture pour donner la moitié, 50% à mon ami anonyme. Je vends les pantalons, je vends la ceinture. Mais quand je descends, je suis allé en descente sur la pente, sur la montagne. C'est ça que ça fait que je dois la replacer. Puis là, je m'en vais chez nous, je commence à avoir faim un peu. Là. La gratitude, j'ai payé mon loyer, ma facture d'électricité est payée, j'ai du café petit thé, puis c'est du rock'n'roll 24/24. Et qu'on va partir dans une transe de rock'n'roll. Encore une fois, une petite révision de la TRD, puis avec ça, l'opération Scorpion du Nord, seulement pour la défense, la sécurité puis le service. Seulement pour la défense, la sécurité puis le service. Seulement pour la défense, la sécurité puis le service. Ma trinité de théorie, c'est seulement pour la défense, sécurité pour le service. L'initiative de partenariat public-privé, que j'appelle l'implantation à travers le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord, l'armée du dragon, l'armée nord-américaine Citoyen Integree pour la sécurité, pour le service, pour la défense, parallèlement un équilibre complémentaire avec l'armée de la déesse qui danse, la ligue de danse intégrée nord-américaine pour l'environnement, pour la danse, pour le plaisir. Ma philosophie, le corps est un temple pour le plaisir, puis pour le but, puis se donner le plaisir, avoir de la joie, puis cultiver la gratitude, car la civilisation est un privilège. Ça, c'était ma thèse. La civilisation est un privilège. Ça, c'était ma thèse en 2023. Le privilège de la civilisation, le privilège de la civilisation, le privilège de la civilisation. Le privilège de la civilisation, c'est des choses qu'il faut qu'on fasse, puis, tu sais, mais en vous encourageant tous et toutes à faire l'entraînement physique. L'entraînement physique a été sera ma médecine et thérapie de choix. On va rentrer dans une petite fait de rock and roll. Là. On va rentrer dans une petite reprise de rock and roll. Du rock and roll. Vous êtes prêts? Est-ce que vous êtes prêts? Prête? Are you ready? Encore une fois, la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, pour la création de l'unité d'échange universelle avec l'implémentation de l'opération Scorpion du Nord. C'est quelque chose que je vous encourage bien sûr à faire. Puis je vous encourage à faire l'entraînement physique. L'entraînement physique, mais a été vraiment médecine et thérapie de choix. Fait que c'est toujours quelque chose que moi j'aime faire. Puis j'en revenir à ma deuxième maison, la montagne. C'est pas juste ma deuxième maison, ça ne m'appartient pas personnellement. Tu sais, c'est pas juste ma maison, bien sûr. Ça nous appartient en tant que... Ça ne m'appartient pas en tant que citoyen, mais ça nous appartient commun, c'est public. En d'autres mots, c'est public. Fait que je vous encourage à faire l'entraînement physique, puis bien sûr faire un peu d'entraînement physique, puis l'entraînement physique a été sérieusement médecine de thérapie de choix, puis on faut qu'on fasse ensemble, bien sûr, sur le point de vue, bien sûr, que ça soit, bien sûr, une information additionnelle, puis c'est pas vraiment une information, mais c'est une théorie qui est basée sur des informations financières qui prouvent que c'est la seule ou quelque chose de parallèle, similaire, qui bien sûr peut nous faire sauver de l'embarras d'où on est rendu aujourd'hui avec les finances publiques, la situation de crise financière, où on est rendu maintenant. Ah, ça fait du bien! Et là, je descends en pente, puis bien sûr, je continue ma descente. Puis à la descente, je descends, on monte. La TRD, l'opération Scorpion du Nord, pour le Collectif de Civilisation Americain. Donc ici, on a fait le grand compromis linguistique du français. On continue à le faire. Moi-même, c'est par le rock'n'roll, par mes philosophies. Puis en tant qu'individu, on doit faire un effort. Parce que si on ne fait pas d'effort nous-mêmes, individuels, pour le français, ça prend un effort individuel du citoyen. C'est pas juste les lois seulement. Et moi, c'est par l'encouragement à la culture, moi-même en composant des chansons rock'n'roll, puis bien sûr la poésie, puis bien sûr mes théories philosophiques. Je fais toujours en bilingue rock'n'roll, puis that's it, that's all, you know. Puis la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, c'est quelque chose qui... On doit faire l'implémentation, on doit faire... Il n'y a pas d'eau, on n'a pas le choix là-dessus, puis c'est ça que je vous encourage à l'entraînement physique, puis je pense toujours aux pompiers, aux boulangers, aux électriciens, ceux qui se passent dans les hôpitaux, les infirmières, les travailleurs publics qui ramassent les vidanges, le compostage, le recyclage, et le transport public, ceux qui sont en train de faire de la nourriture. La livraison, maintenant, c'est vendredi. Avant le sabbat, moi, je vais faire bien du repos demain parce que je vis une vie très active physiquement. Je suis très actif. Comme maintenant, ça va faire comme plus que 6 heures de marche. Qu'aujourd'hui, je vais faire de marche à style militaire, à style de marche. Fait que c'est le temps que je fasse, bien sûr, du rock'n'roll. On y va? On y va! Let's go! Ready! En bilingue. Are you ready? Vous êtes prêts? We're gonna get that rock and roll on the road. Are you ready? Let me see Aurora. On the freestyle, that's the pyramid city that you know we sing it. Swing it on those hips so that you don't miss the kiss. You know that I gotta sing it. Sing it. Pop it, let me see that one thing what I do. Yeah. Black and white and rainbow, I gotta kiss it. I gotta kiss it for the X. Gotta kiss it for the white and black, gotta kiss it with a rainbow. And another holiday, it's today, carpe diem it every day. Gotta seize the moment, Butchers, bakers, nurses, LOVE to the firefighters. Ain't all about the money. I already told you, let the main out, you can see a rainbow dragon, that's a rainy day. Gotta see it. With sunshine, somebody kissing somebody, hugging, I see it. See it to believe it, under me up and you see it. I'm gonna break all your illusions. I'm gonna break all your illusions. I'm gonna break all your illusions. That you see when I'm hit it, that you see when I hit it. And I got some friends, they at a party with some badges. They some friends up in some badges. They some friends up in some badges. I got that badge of rock and roller. Hit it, warrior, you know we sing it on the rainbow codes. with the kisses and those push-ups on the dragon. Army look up. Gotta see it for the French and English. Gotta swing it every day. Gotta swing it, that's the pyramid. For the pyramid, you know we say. For the pyramid, you know we pray. For the X and Y and Dayz. And another one, they flying over rock and roll up in the road. While the truckers on the switching lanes, the danger. They the sing it, that's the radio. They the sing it, that's the hello. They the sing it, that's the mellow. They the sing it so that you know. Lights up in the road, lights up in the show, lights up in the rainbow, lights up in the yeah. For you know you me, and that you can see. That another trip, for another flip, for another pay. On y va. Du rock'n'roll descend de la montagne du Mont-Royal. Et ça monte, satellite des gratte-ciel, les pompiers, les boulangers, boulanges. Ça ménage fait le service, ça ménage fait kaouika. Hey comique, ben drôle, ça bouge comme une folle, fou. Comme je suis fou, je bouge les jambes, les orteils rock'n'roll, de la baie provinciale. Ça met un peu du vin dans le verre, l'autre qui boit une bière bénite, ben maudite, sois bénite, donne-moi des bisous, des câlins à place. Et regarde, pas besoin de l'eau bénite, juste une bière, des bisous câlins, puis ça danse, ben. Hey. De Montréal, du ciment, du béton, l'argent aux ongles, le son, ben le ton, en main libre. Ben commode, ben comique, ben regarde, ben réplique, ben ça danse, ben shrelle, ben ça avance, bouge, le corps de gauche à droite, dans la neige fait sa face, ben soleil, ben regarde, et encore, ben ça transe, et encore, ben ça donne, hey, ben ça danse, let's go, gotta sing it for you know, gotta sing it for you sweep. Switching lips and kiss, switching lips and this, switching kips and rock and roll, and a finger kiss. Fingers I got for you, fingers I got for you, fingers I got you. Let me see the love, and let me see the hugs. Kisses, that's the lust and kisses, that's the rub. Crooked, get the panties off, giving to me panties off. In the mouth, you see we louder. I gotta swing it that both ways, You know that are happy days, I gotta swing it at both days, I gotta swing it at both days, swing it at both days. For the man we know we pray, for the swing you know we pray, for the swing you know we hay, for the swing you know we lay. Lay low. Yeah, let her halo, yeah. Wanna switch a little bit of that rap, maybe a little bit of rap. I guess so. Let's keep it on that rock and roll a little bit. Switch it on that rock and that roller. Got a big apple, got a big booty that I say me too. I say do some glutes and rock and roll salute. So you know I sing it, that's a full flavor rock and roll up in the jungle. The concrete from the mountain going up. From the mountain, that's what's up. Tick and talk, you know I got gloves on the aftermath. For we sing it for the misses, for we sing it for the kisses, for those black and white and rainbow, wearing all that motherfucking purple. Purple, rock and roll, purple with some scarlet up in it. I got a new drink, I gotta chug it. I don't smoke, no doubt smoke. I don't only smoke cannabis. Cannabis, that Mary Jane, once in a while on the lane. Gotta keep the fame. I only want the love and lust. Keep the fame. I only want that love and lust. Keep the fame. I only want that love and lust. Bust a duck, bust a quack, bust a quack, bust a duck. You know that a singer swinging, that's the missus. Swinging, that's the hipses. Tripses, that's the trippy, that's a real. I gotta be it, gotta see it to believe it. Gotta see it to believe it, gotta see it to believe it. For the rainbow dragon kisses, rainbow dragon misses, rainbow dragon fizz it for the flip it. For another rainbow, that's a misses, that's a hits miss, that's a misses, that's a lick it. That's a missus, that's a lick. That's a missus, that's a lick. That's a missus, that's a lick. That's a kisses, that's a lick stick. Clinton Dixon, Clinton Dixon. Hey, cuckles up and waiting. Yeah, I played that cuckle, so what it. Gotta keep it on the guitars, gotta get it for those. Swing a little trombones, gotta swing it, let me hear it. How those rockin' their rolls go, somebody wearing red. Maybe dragging on me, I don't know yet. Pledge your allegiance, that's I know yet. Dragging on me, I don't know yet, dragging on. You gon' kiss it for the misses, you gon' kiss it for the hisses. Et voilà, ça chante chanson. Et voilà, ça chante le rock'n'roll. Et la danse, ben ça danse dans une transe, gratte-ciel, ben en haut, ça bouge des fesses. Ça regarde sa planche, cerise dans le boisson, regarde. Rouge, purple, amour, amour. Danse, trance, rock'n'roll, hey, hey. Le dragon en arc-en-ciel, yay, yay. Ben fort, fait sa danse, ben fort, fait sa danse, ben ça danse. Let's send a little LOV to our first responders. Un peu d'amour à nos ambulanciers. Un peu d'amour à nos ambulanciers. Send some love. Finance them, public workers, healthcare workers, first responders, millionaires, millionaires of massage therapy sessions, firefighters, nurses with it. Firefighters, financer les ambulanciers, millionnaires, milliardaires, les massages thérapeutiques. Ils méritent plus que moi. They deserve it, earn it more than me. I'm going to take a bath tomorrow. Demain, je vais prendre un bain. Rock and roll continues. Rock and roll, yo yo. Out from the mountain that you see, gotta see it. What's the secret? For the seer, for the beer, for the deer. Gotta love, 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 love. Sing me some love and lust. Gotta rock and roll, you know what's up. Gotta rock and roll, you know we duck. Pour le rock and roll, ça danse. Rock and roll, bébé, ça avance. Ça avance, ça pleine, puis ça fasse. GPS, GPS. Gotta get the positions. Affirmation, affirm it for the squeeze and licks and tiss. Gotta sing a rock and roll. On the knocking on the door so that you know. On the knocking door so that you know. Hey. Et ça bouge de la tête. Comme des aigles, les flappes, les aigles. Les aigles flappent des ailes, La belle province, ça bouge, bouge, bouge. Rock and roll. Rock and roll 24/24, 24/7 rock and roll. Hey, you know, I enter those rock and roll trances. Je rentre dans des trance rock and roll, you know, rock and roll trances, man. It's all it is with me, you know, so that's just what it is. And rock and roll 24/7 geopolitics, la géopolitique 24/24. Rock and roll coming down from the mountain, my second home. I feel good. I'm a bit on the sore side. Gonna take a bath tomorrow. Je sens mes muscles, bien sûr. Je me sens permettre un massage thérapeutique. I'd love to afford a massage therapy session, but finance the firefighters, you know, finance the firefighters. Financer les pompiers, un massage thérapeutique, you know. Finance the firefighters, a massage therapy session. Finance the fighters, a massage therapy session. Finance them and financer les à place, you know. That's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, and gotta get on to do it, you know. So something which we gotta be meditating, you know. Meditation 24/7, meditation, you know. That's just what it is, man. And I also got a passion for matchmaking. J'ai une petite passion pour mettre des gens en couple. A little bit of comedy. A little bit of humor with it, you know? Humor. A little bit of humor, you know? So, a little bit of humor, you know? So. Takes a little bit of humor. Yeah, I think some friends with benefits, I guess, you know? And I take some friends with benefits. Across the street, gonna turn ahead, you never know. Sometimes they crumb fast, you know, so that's what it is with that, that's what it is, and that's what it is, you know, so gonna get doing with that, so it is what it is with that, so so that's what we gotta do for the XYZ, you know, so it is what it is, you know, so fuck you. Let's do that. Anyways, always feels good with that, you know, so that's what we gotta get doing, you know, so. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's the good rock and roll, you know, so that's what we gotta get doing, you know, so that's what we gotta get doing, you know.
Wait, she's doing that right now.
Subconscious, you know. Yeah, man. That was funny. You know, sometimes it's just like going to these rock and roll trances, but I got to be also careful because I didn't want to continue rock and rolling with citizens, you know. Tu sais, je rentre dans des trans de rock and roll, mais tu sais, j'étais rendu qu'il y avait du monde, fait que j'étais comme, j'avais bien du rock and roll dans ma tête, puis je voulais chanter, mais je dis ben là, je suis quand même dans le public, mais ben, tu sais, en tant qu'Aspi aussi, c'est différent. Being an Asperger's, being an Aspi, it's also different. So I said, well, I'm gonna not continue my rock and roll trance, so I gotta not continue singing while I pass, and there's people, you know, and they kind of like that, the social awareness, which I kind of lack. Kind of many Aspies, people with HFA, have functioning autism, were very more bizarre, weird, awkward socially. So on est plus différent dans le social, mais des choses que les autistes moins fonctionner, ont plus de la misère. We're less able. So started realizing maybe I don't want to be too weird, and continue with my rock and roll trance there, where there's many people in the corner, and now I can because I guess there's less people. Maintenant je peux continuer, mais moins de monde. I guess it is what it is. So let's get it for that rock and roll on the go. Skyscrapers, building construction workers on steel toes, steel toes. Farmers gotta cook, hey, fast food gotta look. Lester swigs those hips, give 'em a massage of feet washing. Gotta kisses for the mo, gotta kisses for the dough. Gotta kisses for the X, some black and white and rainbow. Gotta do it for you know, gotta do it for the dough. That's why I gotta get it for the lights. Gotta do it for the lights, gotta do it for the sight. Gotta do it for the right, gotta do it for the right. You're happy, I'm happy. Il faut faire les lumières, la ville de Montréal, que ça danse. Les mains, tape jusqu'en haut du ciel, gratte. Hey, gratte, pas trop. Hey, la culture, gratte, la culture, ben, joue. De la guitare vilaine dans les airs, ça compte les arbres, ça compte les noix. Ça compte. Les lumières, ben. Puis la brille, ça danse, ça s'habille, habille. On se débrouille avec le rock'n'roll, ben ça bouge, et ensemble, ça pousse. Il y a une belle lumière de la métropole, la belle lumière de la métropole, bouge, tête dure. Encore un cercle, danse. Regarde la naissance, let's go. Rock and roll for the lights, you know, hidden on the sight. Rock and roll, you know, right. We're gonna swing it, we're gonna miss it. We're gonna swing it, we're gonna kiss it. Rock and roll, you know, we hear it. Rock and roll, you know, we see it. Rock and roll, you know, we be it. Ben rock and roll, ben ça danse. Ben rock and roll, ça fasse. Ben ensemble, ben regarde. Ben ensemble, ben ça danse. Ben encore, ben la renaissance. Yeah. Gotta get some rock and roll, gotta get some, do you know? Gotta get some, do you know? So you know, so you know, so you blow. That's the mountain on the go, mountain on the road, mountain on the snow, mountain on the flex, you know we bro. Yeah. Mountain, that's the lights. Mountains, that's a sight. Mountain, that's a light. Mountain, that's a right. Hey, I gotta see another lights. Lumière. Joyous fête sont passées, on est en janvier. Les lumières, les étoiles brillent, bougent. Hey, gotta give it for the X. I gotta give it for the skyscrapers. Gotta give it for the flex. I gotta give it for the way. Gotta give it for rock and roll, you know we see. That's the mountain on the B. That's the mountain that you see. On the X and white and purple, that's another 0 for the hero for the snow. Holiday, that's a blow. Holiday, and that's a snow. Gotta give it for the hawk, gotta give it for the bark. Gotta give it for, you know, your spark. Gotta give it for the tickles. Tickles, that's an art. Tickle, that's an art. Tickle, that's a fact. Tickle, that's an art. Tickle, that's a fact. Tickle, that's an art. Yeah. Aye. On s'est dit le vice-roi. Yeah. Most people again, so I said it's better I don't rock and roll too loud, you know. Sometimes silence is best, you know. Des fois c'est faut que je fasse plus de silence, mais de rock and roll. Illusions. Turn your head left and right. I'll be out of sight. I'll just be on the lights. That's the count on the counter. I count 156, but I could be wrong. Give me some of that double. For the left, for the right, stumble. Fumble on the go. Fumble on the road. For another left and right. For another left and sight. For another XYZ. For another left white dead. Alive, alive, alive. All the things that I survived. Et bien sûr, la vie. Regarde de beaux arbres, pleine lumière. Beaux arbres, quelle lumière. Ben regarde, ben lumière. Que ça fasse bien ensemble. On les compte, ça prend tant. Et ça tente, c'est ça danse. Ben lumière, ben bouge. Encore et encore. C'est danse, trance, rock and roll, ça avance l'arbre. I look at the beauty of the trees. That you know you spark your bees. That you know you spark your ease. For another sound that leaves. And another kiss and hug. You know that's the one they served. Bury me with Papa Crowley. Up and down with the New Jersey. Up in the third of me city of the pyramids. Yeah. Third of me up in Mount Royal. Hey. Bury me with Papa Crowley. Hampton, New Jersey. A third of me up in the city of the pyramids. A third of me up in Mount Royal. Enterrez-moi avec mon père à Lester Crowley à Hampton, New Jersey, à New Jersey, Hampton, puis un tiers au village, ville des pyramides, au ville des pyramides, au village des pyramides, puis un tiers sur le Mont-Royal. That's what it is with that, so gotta get it for the X, gotta get it for the Y, so that's what it is, you know, so that's what we gotta get doing. Gotta get that collective, you know. So we gotta get up. There's no. I just gotta work out, you know. Just gotta train, exercise, and I still gotta see. That's the other mountain. But it's the same mountain system, but that's the West Mountain. We pass through that side of my videos. Often go high up that mountain and go there. It's the same mountain, but on the other peak. C'est la même montagne de Montréal, mais des fois quand je fais des vidéos, on traverse par là. So we were there. That's miles and kilometers away, actually. C'est loin, ça. Mais c'est là qu'on était en haut. C'est the West Mountain. That's where we were. See, it's on the mountain. That's one of the peaks of the mountain. One of the peaks of the mountain, and the other mountain is Mount Royal. That is one of the peaks of the mountain. The other one is Mount Royal. That is West Mount. The other one's Outremont. The other one's Mount Royal. So you got West Mount, Mount Royal, and you got this mountain. So we got different mountains, you know. But it's the same mountain system, but different peaks. 3-peak mountain system, Mount Royal. C'est vraiment la même montagne, mais de 3 de différents sommets. It's at 300 la montagne. It's got 3 peaks, and that's one of them. There you see. It's very high. It's far away. That's kilometers away. So we go up. That's one peak. The other one's the other peak. And beautiful lights, belle lumière. Beautiful lights, belle lumière. Beautiful lights, belle lumière. So we're gonna end it because I'm not gonna. From here to my place is still about an hour and a half. So I'm gonna get that battery, and that's a long enough video. LOV. Rainbow Dragon. Pledge your allegiance, Lord family.